Hi folks, and welcome to week 13 of the class. You'll be happy to know this is our third and last week of statistics for the class. So the topic we're going to be going over today is crosstabs or crosstabulations, which is a statistical method that allows us to look at the relationship between multiple variables. Now this topic can get a little bit tricky, so I encourage you to watch this video multiple times if needed. It's extra tricky, I think, to kind of convey this without actually being present with you. I use my hands a lot when I talk, when I teach. I'm Italian, so I'm constantly using my hands as part of conveying the message when I teach, and so it's really hard, especially with statistics, to sort of get through these concepts without like physically being present with you, but we're going to give it a try. So imagine we asked a sample of 100 people two different questions. So the same 100 people, two questions. Which flavor of ice cream do you prefer, vanilla or chocolate? And which kind of phone do you have, Android or Apple? Okay, and we had 20 people say that they liked vanilla, and 80 people said that they liked chocolate. This mouse is going to have to be my stand-in talking with my hands. Which kind of phone do you have, Android or Apple? 60 people said Apple. 40 people said Android. Great. So if we're doing frequencies, we'd know, 20% of people liked vanilla, 80% of people liked chocolate, 60% of people said Apple, 40% of people said Android. So this represents all the people who said they like chocolate, which is 80 people. And this is the amount of people who said they have an Apple phone, 60, okay? Same numbers as before, 80 and 60. We have these two groups of people. They're within the same 100 people, right? But we know that 80 of them said chocolate, 60 of them said Apple. Same 100. But how many people who liked chocolate ice cream also have an Apple phone? Can we find that out? Well, let's say we counted it up and we found that there is 20 people who have both a preference for chocolate ice cream and have an Apple phone. It's 20 people, right? So, of the people who prefer chocolate ice cream, right, this 80, what percentage of them have Apple phones? Well, we know it's 80 people who prefer chocolate, 60 people who have Apple phones, but only 20 of them are both chocolate lovers and iPhone users, right? So we know that that's not good. Go away. 20% of the, 20 people are part of the overlap, the number of overlap, right? The number of people who like both chocolate ice cream and Apple iPhones. That's 20 out of the total group of people who like chocolate, which is 80. Okay, so 20 of the 80 people are in the category in the middle where they like both. 20 of the 80 people who like chocolate also have Apple phones. So, of the people who prefer chocolate ice cream, what percentage of them have Apple iPhones? 25%, right? 1/4. 20 out of 80. 25% of the people who prefer chocolate ice cream also have iPhones. But what about the percentage of people who have iPhones and like chocolate ice cream? Is it going to be the same percentage? That should say 25, not 20. Is it going to be the same percentage? It's still 20 people who both prefer chocolate ice cream and have an Apple iPhone. 20 out of those 100 overlap. But now the question has changed. Of the people who have the Apple iPhones, right? What percentage of them prefer chocolate ice cream? It's still 20 people, but the percentage is different because now we're saying of the people, right? So we're starting with this group. Of these 60 people, what percentage of them like chocolate ice cream? So now we're saying that number of overlaps still the same, 20 folks, but now it's out of 60 because the group we're looking at are Apple users, not people who like chocolate ice cream. Okay, so before we were saying of all the people who like chocolate ice cream, what percentage of them also have iPhones? Now we're saying out of all 60 people who have iPhones, what percentage of them like chocolate ice cream? It's still 20 people, but now it's 20 people out of a group of 60. So it's 1/3, so it's 33% of the people who have iPhones prefer chocolate ice cream. Look, I know that this is a little bit of a confusing thing to get, right? And also, it's like, who cares about iPhones and chocolate ice cream flavors, right? This is not like a interesting statistical issue, but we'll get to something that's a little bit more interesting in a minute. But just to reiterate here, of the people who have Apple iPhones, 33% of them prefer chocolate ice cream, right? 33% of people who have iPhones prefer chocolate ice cream, or of people who have iPhones, 33% prefer chocolate ice cream. Of people who have chocolate, or who prefer chocolate, 25% of them have an Apple iPhone. 25% of people who prefer chocolate ice cream have iPhones, or of people who prefer chocolate, 25% of them have iPhones. Now let's take a look at what this actually means in the world of statistics, right? So here is a sample database like what you have, and it has questions about premarital sex, teen sex, education, religion, whether or not marijuana should be legal, and the respondent's age. Now with cross-tabulations, we only use nominal and ordinal level variables. We do not use interval ratio variables. Nominal and ordinal only. So in order to calculate a cross-tabulation, we go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and then crosstabs. Okay, and this box pops up. So it's already there. These are the ones I want to do. But you would pick what you want to put in your rows and what you want to put in your columns. Now, it doesn't so much matter where you put them. It's going to matter for how you interpret it. But in terms of, there's no right answer here in terms of where to put them. Either one's fine. So I'm going to put religion in rows, and I'm going to put grass in columns. These are both nominal level variables. You can do two nominals, you can do a nominal and ordinal. I would stick with at least one nominal. You can do two nominals or one nominal and one ordinal. I wouldn't do two ordinals. You'll see that graph will look a little intense. Okay, so we have the two variables that we want to use. So I'm trying to see, is there any kind of correlation, or what's the relationship between religion and people saying whether or not marijuana should be legal, right? So here we were just asking about the relationship between your favorite flavor of ice cream and what kind of phone you have, right? Here we want to know what's the relationship between the religion that you pick, or the religion that you identified on the survey, and whether or not you think marijuana should be legal. So we want religion and grass, and we want to click on cells. We want the percentages for the rows, okay? And now you press OK, and an output will come up. It tells us the number of people who answered both of these questions about religion and marijuana use, and that was 2,867 people. Okay, so now we see, we asked people, what is your religious preference? We have Protestants, Catholics, Jewish, none, other, Buddhist, Hindu, etc., all the way down. And then we asked them, do you think the use of marijuana should be made legal or not? Not applicable means they didn't answer it, or that they didn't want to answer it. That it should be legal, should not be legal, they don't know, and then they didn't answer. Okay, so for people who are Protestants, 34% of them said it should be legal. So this is how you read the cross-tabulation, and this will be important for how you interpret it. Similar to how we were saying, of the percentage of people who liked chocolate ice cream, this percent, or of the people who like chocolate ice cream, this percent said that they used iPhones, right? Of the people who were Protestant, 34.2% said that we should legalize marijuana. Of people who were Catholic, 35.9% said that we should legalize marijuana, right? So you can look at all of these, right? can look at Christians, right? They have a lower rate, 27%. People who are Jewish have a higher rate of saying that we should legalize it, 52.9%. Okay? But what's important to realize is that you're reading this across and then up to interpret it. Of people who are Protestant, 34.2% said that we should make marijuana legal. Okay? Now, if I switched those, the columns and the rows, we would be saying, you know, of people who said yes, we should legalize marijuana, this percent were Protestant. But since we've set it up this way, you're going to read across and then up. Of people who are Catholic, 35.9% said we should legalize marijuana. Of people who are Catholic, 27.7% said we should not legalize marijuana. Okay? It's not saying that, you know, 35.9% of people who said we should legalize it are Catholic. No, you can't read it back down that way because we know that that's not 35.9% of all the people who said that we should legalize it. You have to go across. Of the people who responded Catholic, 35.9% said we should legalize marijuana. Okay, so after you've created your chart, and this is why you want to do at least one nominal, because otherwise, imagine if these were both longer categories, it would just take up a lot of space here. There would be a lot of different boxes. Well, there already are anyway, because religion's a pretty big one. So now, in order to finish up the assignment for this week, which is choose two variables, right? Did that already. Run one crosstab with those variables. That's what you've got. Now you need to insert a text box into the output and write 3 sentences interpreting the data. So to insert a text box, you click this little button here. It looks like a sort of a Word document with an arrow in it. I want to insert it in the bottom, so you can click down here. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, so now we would say, well, of people who identified as Catholics, 35, whatever it was, % of them felt that marijuana should be made legal, okay? Or 35% of Catholics believed that marijuana should be made legal. Okay, so you can phrase it a couple different ways, but just make sure that you are saying it's a percentage of this group that's then saying this other thing, right? Reading across from the row to the column. Okay, when you are complete with that, right, after you've written sort of 3 sentences interpreting the numbers that you're seeing here, you're going to save this as an output. Okay, so you'll save as, you'll put your last name, output, and you'll save it, and then, yes, I've already made one of these. Okay, and now it's saved as an SPV file, and that's what you will upload here for your assignment. Okay, so it's really just creating the one output and writing the 3 sentences on it. I am going to give you a little extra time to do it because we do have the Thanksgiving break this week, and so it's, instead of being due on a Tuesday like our class normally has assignments due, it's going to be due next Friday, December 6th instead. So you have a little bit of extra time. I know it's a tricky concept. I don't know how much clearer I can really convey it via lecture, but I'm definitely happy to talk to you on the phone or via text or via email if you're having trouble figuring this out. And then here on the blackboard are the what we just did, right, within SPSS. So these are the directions within SPSS to get that output. And then if you want additional examples of crosstab interpretation, this website has some pretty good ones. So you can just click on it. Okay, so if you scroll down a bit, They'll have some more interpretation. They go through the examples in SPSS just like we did. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. So they're talking about people who are underclassmen or upperclassmen, right? Like freshmen and sophomores, and then juniors and seniors. And they ask them, do you live on campus or do you live off campus? Okay, so of underclassmen, 34.8% live off campus. They phrased it as the proportion of underclassmen who live off campus is 34.8%, right? Or the proportion of upperclassmen who live on campus is what? 5.6%. They also go into column percents here. I'm just having you focus on rows for this assignment. So don't worry about column percents. It's already a sort of tricky concept, so I just want to make it as mainstream as possible. So we're just going to focus on row percents for this. Okay, so if you have any questions as you're doing this, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great week, and just 2 more weeks of class. You're almost there. Take care.